the DA is reviewing all the cases of the officers that were involved in the Trey Nichols death and going to investigate how they treated others. Um, as more people are coming forth with their accounts of how the officers that were involved in the Trey Nichols death treated them and their stops, as well as other officers of the Scorpion unit.
And they had guns out. They were like, "Get the F out the car before we shoot."
Just 3 days before Tyre Nichols was brutally beaten to death by Memphis police officers, Montarius Harris said he had a violent encounter with the same officers now charged with Nichols' murder. An affidavit of complaint filed by police confirms all 5 ex-officers were involved in Harris's arrest, though their account of what happened differs.
Tell me about the night of January the
Their account differs. That's no surprise that cops that are known and that are prone to forging and falsifying documents have lied in other cases. They did that with Trey Nichols, and they did it with him, and they've probably done it with many others. And this is something cops do on the regular, where they falsify the reports, and because people are more likely to believe cops because cops are cops, nobody's really going to question their reports.
the 4th.
My car was approached by a bunch of men wearing black. They had on ski masks.
What went through your mind in that moment?
I was terrified. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if I was being robbed or carjacked.
The police affidavit alleged.
Yeah, why were they wearing ski masks? How's that something cops should do? In my opinion, all cops should be required and mandated at all times to be wearing their uniforms, no face mask, and while on duty. And if they remove any piece of their uniform, it's a firing. And then tampering with evidence like a body cam, well, that is prison time.
Alleges that Harris drove at detectives at a high rate of speed and that an officer smelled marijuana when he approached the car. Police say Harris then put the car in reverse before getting out and taking off on foot. Harris admits he tried to drive away, but says that's because he didn't realize the men surrounding the car were police until he got out.
And they began to hit me.
Yeah, when they're if they don't announce themselves, if they don't have their uniforms visible, if they're wearing face coverings, how is somebody supposed to know it's a cop? That's one reason why I'm against plainclothes cops and undercover cops. How are people supposed to know that these people are cops if they're lying about it?
And punch on me, and one of the guys threw me to the ground, hit my head on the concrete.
He says he spent several days in jail and took these photos of his wounds after he was released. Harris is now charged with possession of marijuana with intent to sell, possession of Xanax, and being a convicted felon in possession of a handgun, a gun he says belonged to his cousin. But now,
I wouldn't doubt some of these charges are trumped up. Pretty much all of them. It sounds like they were just looking for a person to rough up, which, that's pretty much what cops love to do. And they found somebody. Seems like they did this. Seems like that's what they did with Trey Nichols. But in that case, they went a little too far because they had bloodlust and they could not control it. But I mean, it's not like cops want to control their bloodlust. That's why they love being a cop, so that they can beat people and do whatever they want without any real repercussions.
cases like his are under investigation by the Shelby County District Attorney's Office. The office announcing it will review all past and pending cases of the 5 former officers charged in Nichols' death, and that more cases involving Memphis' now deactivated Scorpion unit could be called into question. Harris's attorney believes the number of cases could be in the thousands.
How often do you...
And the thousands. So how long Did the chief of police know about their abusive behavior, and how long did they hide it? Because the chief, I mean, if the chief doesn't know what they're doing, then what's the point in the chief of police even being there if they're not like knowledgeable on what their, employees, staff members, their subordinates are doing and keeping them in line? I would not doubt that department has a culture of just an extreme violence towards anybody that isn't a cop. And this is why, in my opinion, that all police departments need to be investigated, and because the corruption isn't just the bottom, but it's from the top, the police chief, down to the very bottom. They all are corrupt.
I believe the Scorpion unit was having these types of violent encounters.
Daily, multiple times a day.
Harris is now suing the city and the officers involved in his arrest for $5 million, alleging his arrest was legally unjustified, unquestionably unconstitutional, and unacceptable in any civilized society. The city of Memphis did not respond to NBC's request for comment on Harris's lawsuit. The 5 former officers named in the suit either could not be reached or chose not to comment. This comes as more details about the Tyre Nichols case emerge. Ex-officer Preston Hemphill was among the police that pulled Nichols over that night.
Hey, you guys are really doing a lot.
According to official documents obtained by NBC News, Hemphill now acknowledges he did not witness Nichols driving recklessly. The 5 ex-officers.
Wow, now he's admitting that he didn't see him driving recklessly, so that means he lied and made a false account, and so that he could justify pulling this person over and abusing him. And this is something that cops do all the time. They go out, commit crimes, and then make up some story to justify it. And for the most part, they get away with it thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times. Just like the attorney for Harris said, he thinks there's about 1,000 cases where these cops abused people. Now take that times 365 times all the cops in the United States. That's a lot of police brutality going on. Some of it, well, for the most part, most of it, not getting any kind of national attention or anything. So these cops are able to get away with it basically their entire careers.
Charged with murder are scheduled to appear in court for the first time next week. Attorneys for 2 of the men have said their clients will plead not guilty. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Memphis.